Hey, what's up guys? I just wanted to make a quick tutorial video showing how I got my guitar tones on the new album. Some people probably care about this and I like talking about it. So if you want to see more videos like this one, just like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want to see next. Is it vocals, bass? Is it mixing? Just let me know and maybe I'll do another one of these. Also, make sure you watch until the end of the video because there's a link to the first single from the new album. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. I think it turned out pretty killer. So if you like it, go to Bandcamp and buy it. And one more quick plug: if you want the album, do the pre-order because I'll send you the isolated tracks as a bonus, so you can mix it yourself, or even if you just want to hear what every instrument sounds like on its own. All right. So first thing, this record was a little bit different for me because it was the first time I've quad-tracked for an album before. It was also the first time I recorded multiple amps at the same time with multiple mics on each amp. I also took a DI, and I had a room mics as well, but I didn't end up using the DI. And the room mic was really just used for certain parts in certain songs, which needed a little bit more atmosphere for a different sound. As far as gear goes, the main tone was a Gibson Les Paul from '92 that had standard pickups, and that went into a Boss EQ and a noise gate, and then into a radio splitter. And from there, I used two amps. It was a JCM 800 2203 through a Mesa 212 recto cab using the Friedman technique with two SM57s or 58s actually. The second amp was a Marshall DSL JCM 2000. It was the old one through an Avatar open back cab, and that was loaded with Celestion CL80 speakers. Actually, a CL80 and a G12 K100, but I only mic'd the CL80. And the mic was an old piece of crap that I don't even know what it was, but it sounded different, so it worked a little bit better than the other mic options that I had. The room mic was a Shure SM7B, which was actually the same thing that I used for vocals. As far as the tracking goes, I did 4 takes of each part with each mic recording. And I even did that for leads, which is why it took me so long to record this time around. So each guitar track has 5 tracks, which I group by color. So I have green and purple panned hard left and right, and the other 2 are panned 85% left and right. So first, let's just hear the mix. Okay, now just the guitars. Now just the DSL. So yeah, you can hear it's pretty grimy, but when it's combined with everything, it works somehow. Here's the 800. This one has 2 mics on the cab in the Friedman technique, so there's one right in the center, and the other one is off axis at 45 degrees. Here's the center mic. And here's the off axis. Then blended together, it sounds like this. Then blended with the DSL, it sounds like this. Oh, and as far as routing goes, I didn't EQ each mic group or amp separately. I messed with that at first, but I ended up just EQing everything together. And the blend is the off-axis mic on the 800. That's down about 3 dB from the center mic, and then the DSL is about 6 dB lower than the 800. And both of those are going into the guitars bus, which has some other stuff on it. So we take the tracks completely raw. Here's what that sounds like. So on its own, I probably like that a little bit more, but with the kick and the bass in there, it gets kind of muddy. So the first thing in the chain is the CLA 76, which I don't think many people use on guitars. I've never done it before, but I was messing around with it, and it added some nice body without killing the picking. And since I quad tracked, obviously I was going for more fullness over clarity anyway. But I thought it glued the mics together pretty well, and it kind of evens out the level a little bit. I'm only doing about 2 to 3 dB of compression here, so it's really not much, and pretty slow attack, so it's just grabbing the sustain more than anything. Then without. So the next thing is just an EQ. And with this, I'm just doing some surgical cuts on some frequencies that sound like whistles, and then a low pass around 60 or 70 hertz. And then on the low end, these little green and blue things they're dynamic EQ, so that pulls down some of the low end a little bit if I palm mute so it doesn't get too woofy. So without the EQ, it sounds like this. With the EQ, it sounds like this. So obviously a lot less woof going on. I tend to like a lot of low end and low mids when I'm playing by myself, but when you put the bass and the kick drum in there, I have to rein it in a little bit. So the next thing is actually another compressor, but this one's different. I have this side chaining to the vocals, so if you don't know what that means, basically it means when I sing or scream something, it pushes the volume of the guitars down just slightly. So you may not even be able to hear this, but I'll try to show you anyway. I have to put the vocals on it for it to actually activate the compressor. But this thing's only pushing down maybe 1 dB, so it's a really small amount. But the idea here is really just to keep the vocals riding on top of the guitars a little bit. So in the mix, I have the vocals, they'll always have slight dominance over the guitars when everything's playing together. So you can probably barely hear this, but in the context of the whole mix, it helps. It's a neat little trick I picked up from Jens Bogren, so thanks, buddy. Here's what it sounds like with the vocals. Yeah, so the last thing in the chain to maximize your grimness is another EQ. Really, this thing is just pushing out the mids and the highs a little bit more. And this one was actually a last minute addition. So when I was mastering, I went back and changed things in the drum mix to make them a little bit more present. So I use this to push up the mids even more. This EQ sounds like this. So a lot of this stuff I've found really matters more in the context of the full mix. If you're trying to make mixing decisions, you really have to listen to everything at the same time. And I find that trying to EQ in solo is a really bad idea. That's how you waste tons of time and end up mixing in circles. So that's really it. If you made it this far, leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and click the link at the end of the video to hear the first single off the new record. If you like it, go to Bandcamp and buy it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.